Okay, we are on. Tomorrow, on the 16th of April, we have AUD, employment change and unemployment rate news. Quick disclaimer, I won't be trading them, as I advised people to try to stay clear from trading fundamentals. So that's what I'll also be doing. Right now, I'm just giving a summary of how I would analyze these news and also a follow-up on the analysis we gave about 2 weeks ago. It was on the 5th of April, I think. It was on a Sunday. Yeah, so I'll just be giving a quick run through of how I usually analyze such events. So we have employment change, which is this one, and also unemployment rate. So if you remember, okay, right now I want you to focus on the cons. The cons is the consensus or the forecast. So right now it's at negative 40k and for employment change and 5.5% for the unemployment rate. So those who were following last week, we said that the employment change forecast should be dropped because if I remember correctly, it was at 10k. Then the unemployment rate was at 5.3, around 5.3%. Let me just do a quick check. Okay, yeah. Here we are. So, yeah, employment change was at 10k. Then the unemployment rate forecast was at 5.3%. So we also mentioned that they should just drop the focus for the employment change and also increase the focus for the unemployment rate to prevent sabotaging AUD, which they did. But then still, even if they did this forecast here is still very low, if I may say. It's still very low because we've seen from the past employment changes, USD and the CAD, they were very horrible. So I'm expecting worse numbers than the forecast here. So the number is going to be lower than negative 40k. That's what you should know. It's going to be lower. So if it's lower, we already know that here, if a number comes out and it's less than the actual reading is less than negative 40k, it should be red, right? So it should be red, and I expect the unemployment rate to jump more than 5.5%, which is their forecast. I expect it to be above 5.5%. So should it be like that, it will also be colored in red to show that this is bearish for AUD. But then from the past employment changes and unemployment rates, you've seen how these currencies react. They react oppositely. So you might find out that the actual reading is very worse than minus 40k, and on the unemployment rate, it's higher than 5.5%. But then AUD reacts oppositely. Because if that's the case, we expect AUD to be weak. We expect AUD to sell. We expect XXX AUD to be a buy, then AUD XXX to be a sell. But then from previous statistics and collecting data from previous events, you know that might not be the case. Main reason being sentimental. There's something called market sentiment. There's a type of trading called sentimental trading. Market sentiment or trader sentiment right now is expecting the COVID-19 to have a negative impact on the employment change and also unemployment rate of Australia. Remember, AUD is the currency for Australia. So if there's going to be a negative impact, we all aim on selling. We all want to sell AUD. So remember, the jobs of the market makers or whatsoever they are called is not to make things simple for the average retail trader. So it cannot be an easy sell. They know that, okay, many people are going to sell. So we shouldn't just sell because it will in a way crash the AUD unless That's where the sessions come in. Now we're going to the sessions. Let me delete this. Then now let's go to the sessions. Remember, right now we have a negative bias for AUD. We have a negative direction for AUD. But then we expect it to gap or reject or act positively, which is the opposite of what the reading will be. So right now we will go to the market, we'll go to the charts, because the charts also tell you a story. So I've selected AUD JPY, and here I found a very nice channel. It's in a channel. So if it's still here, if it's still at this area, a drop might be favored, then it might continue to rise. Or it might, because there's an area of some support here, it might bounce off this support, then rise. Because remember, tomorrow's event, anything is very much possible. You've seen from the past employment changes and unemployment rate. I'm saying this, I didn't know for the millionth time. But then it won't be that obvious. It won't be that obvious that AUD, the numbers will come out negative, then it's just a pure sell. Because the numbers should surely come out negative, which in normal cases we should sell. But then remember, fear is driving the market, so it might not react as accordingly. Just like past events, they weren't reacting accordingly. So it's not considered to be normal times right now. So the market doesn't react normally to fundamentals. So let me try to zoom in. This is the channel which I have tried to identify. So it should go down, and if it goes down, it's also supporting a negative actual reading. The actual reading might be negative, as we anticipated. Then let's check. We're at AUD JPY, AUD USD. It also has a channel, but then it has tested the lower trend line. It has tested the verified support, so it's giving a bullish bias on this pair. So it's giving a bullish bias, so it might go up as it has touched these areas here, or it might continue, because we also have another pattern here. So it might continue downwards with the same number of pips. So right now we're still forecasting. Then another thing which I liked, AUD CAD. So from AUD CAD, I just want you to focus on this setup here, because I'm going to teach you something very important today. So focus on this setup here, right? And I want you to know that in the market, many patterns or many things repeat themselves. So if you look at this area here, this area which I have circled, look at that area there, right? Then tell me if it's not the same. I'll give you one more chance to look. Tell me if it's not the same as this area here. Let's go back one more time. This portion here. So we have this kind of structure, and then on USD JPY it formed this, then it sort of declined. Let's go back to USD JPY. Here it is. Just that they may not be perfect, but then you have to get the idea. This area here. So you see, we have to consider different possibilities, because remember, trading involves dealing with probability. So the highest probability is the one which you take, just like I said on confidence. The more the confidence, the more the confirmation, the more the confidence. So right now we're dealing with probability. The highest probability will be where your signal is at. If there's a high probability for a sell, that means you have a higher confirmation for a sell and a higher confidence for a sell. But then still, it can go against you. You always have to keep an open mind, and you always have to be open to the fact that it may go against you. That's why, once again, proper risk management is important. It may be in the form of stop loss or account size management, trade position management in relation to account size, or risking what you can afford to lose. If you cannot afford to lose money, then don't trade. Trading is not for you. In here, risks are taken. So I think I'm done for the moment. We'll just have to see how the event reacts. But then, in all honesty, I'm not very much interested in this event. I'm not very much interested in this event because from past experience, I've seen how they've reacted. You might see a very small candle, or if it's going to be a big candle, it might reject, it might gap, or it might move oppositely, or it might have increased volatility whereby you don't have time to close your profits or your losses. So such events, as I always say, they are donations to your broker. You're just donating to your broker. So I'd also advise people to stay clear. And if you're not going to stay clear, apply proper risk management, risk what you can afford to lose. That was the analysis. So we are looking at a bearish case scenario for AUD. But then we have kept an open mind and say that it might buy given the reasons which I mentioned earlier. So markets are expecting to sell, but then the reaction might be different. So that's it for now. All the best to those who will be trading this event.